Landlords give their opinion of a Washington state law that lets landlords not make repairs if a tenant is behind on rent. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it's coming from my comment section. It's about a video that I just did a few days back about this tenant in a mobile home park up in Washington state who is basically living in very awful conditions. And well, basically the landlord is not making repairs to her unit, and they're legally able to do this because in the state of Washington they actually have a law that says that, hey, if the tenant is behind on rent, the landlord is not obligated to make repairs. Now this is very different than most places across the entire country. Usually the landlord is obligated to make repairs regardless of if the tenant is behind on rent or not. But in this state, which is, by the way, I just got to mention, this is one of the most tenant-friendly states in the entire country. They have that law in place. So it kind of blows my mind. I'm surprised they haven't changed that law yet. But after this case in particular, there might be more politicians that are looking at changing it. So, it's one of those things where I understand that, they are pretty anti-landlord there, but, maybe not necessarily the entire state. So a lot of people that gave opinions on my last video down in the comments section, I'm going to bring up some of those comments in this video today. So before I get into these comments, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you haven't already seen this story, go back and watch my other video where I covered it. And, just let us know in the comments section what you think of this whole situation. And, after I read some of the opinions of the other landlords on here, feel free to, let me know what you think of their opinions as well. So anyway, let's get into it. So the first comment I'm going to be reading today comes from a user named Stephanie VN6IR. And she says, "So that's what you think about people living in mobile homes, huh, Tony? Shame on you." And then she gave me a thumbs down, right? Now, I just want to make clear, right? I have nothing against people who are living in mobile homes. I have nothing against them at all, okay? And I could very easily have lived in a mobile home myself. It's not like I originally was a homeowner or any of that. I was a renter for a long period of time. I was very low income, working at Walmart full time from the time I was 20 until I was 27 years old, making less than $20,000 a year, right? But you know what? I have no problem with people living in these circumstances. My issue is, one, people who don't pay the debts that they agreed to pay. Two, people who live in squalor when they have no need to. Like, why is the place filled with garbage? Okay? Like, just because you live in a mobile home doesn't mean you have to live just dirty and nasty and filthy like that, okay? And three, simply put, right, the state laws that make everything so difficult for landlords, it just frustrates me, right? And they always make it seem like landlords are being evil and that we are against these tenants when all we're trying to do is operate our businesses in a simple manner. And they look at us like we're just these greedy, evil people, and I just don't like that, okay? So you can think what you want to think. I don't care what other people think about me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I know most of the landlords on here are going to do the same. So it says, a user named Jennifer3551 says that Washington gets a bad rap when it comes to anti-landlord laws when it's mostly concentrated in the three counties of Snohomish, King, and Pierce. It's not so bad elsewhere. And why was this woman only working part-time? Yeah, and that's the same question I have, okay? Here you have a place that's falling apart, dilapidated, and, you're not paying your rent on time and you're only working part-time? Now, I know there might be more to the story, maybe there's disability or, just difficulty finding transportation. Who knows what it is, right? But you need to be working full-time if you can't pay your bills. Or you need to figure out some other living situation. But this whole thing is partially your own fault for not paying your rent. Okay, M. Watercress says that unit should be disposed of. The fact that she stays there points to a problem with the limited housing supply. It sounds like the landlord doesn't want her business anymore. The fact that there is no place for her to move to indicates that no one wants her business. This one rule does support the landlord, but I think that the state on the whole is hostile to landlords and housing developers. And I agree, okay? We all know that Washington State, like it might be outside of those three counties, like the last person said, it might be a lot more friendly to landlords, but compared to other states, and that's what we really need to look at, okay? Let's compare Washington State as a whole to Missouri, okay? As a whole, it's not even comparable. You're going to be treated a lot better, and you're going to have a lot more of your property rights in Missouri. Now, keep in mind, right? I'm not saying not to invest there. I'm just saying to know what to expect if you do invest there. And that is, a continued battle against landlords and our property rights. More laws, more rules, more regulations every single year. Extreme hostility coming from the majority of the politicians there. And, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it to me. Now, if you are a person and you are, playing the long-term game of appreciation and you have the kind of money to wait it out for a long time, go for it. If you're very good at what you do and you making good money, don't listen to my advice. I'm really talking to the people who are thinking of, hey, I want to buy my first rental property, or hey, I want to basically become an accidental landlord by turning my old house I used to live in into a rental property. Well, in those situations, Washington State might not be the best place to invest. That's all I'm saying, okay? But anyway, let's get on to the next comment. And this comes from Jerry P. on me. And he says, I'm a Washington State landlord, and my tenants didn't even inform me of any repairs. When they were finally evicted, I found thousands of dollars of needed repairs. My only recourse was knowing they lived in a home that wasn't even livable, in my opinion. And Jerry, he brings up an excellent point, right? Like a lot of the times, the tenants, they don't let the landlords know that stuff is broken. Okay, this has personally happened to me multiple times. You'll have stuff falling apart and you won't even find out until that tenant moves out, okay? You'll find out that, hey, these appliances aren't working. Hey, this is broken. Hey, and I think part of it is that they know that they are at fault for that stuff being broken or damaged, right? And they don't want to get charged for it. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to have to face eviction for basically their negligence or their, just destroying your property. So they don't say anything. They just like, okay, well, I tore up the plumbing in this place and I don't want to call the landlord because the landlord's going to evict me. So I'm just going to live here without plumbing in this bathroom. That's how ridiculous it is sometimes, okay? And, believe me, a lot of landlords have seen this. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case in this lady's situation, but it very well could be. It very well could be that, the first time the landlord heard that all of these repairs needed to be done and that this lady was living in this horrible situation was when the news reported on it. And then they're like, hey, this landlord is a dirtbag. And they're like, I didn't even know that these repairs needed to be done, and why would she not report those repairs? Because she wasn't paying rent, okay? And that's just something that I've noticed, okay, that there are a lot of tenants out there who do not tell their landlord about broken things. I just did a video the other day about a tenant who let their toilet run so long that the landlord ended up with an $18,000 bill. All they would have had to do was pick up the phone and like, hey, my toilet's running, landlord. Can you come over here or have somebody come over here and fix it? That's all they would have had to do, and they would have saved thousands of dollars. But no, they didn't do that. They just let that toilet run. So yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. And it says that, here's a comment from a user named Tommy Krynock, and he says, I 100% agree with you on this issue, but the only problem is if something needs to be repaired and you don't repair it, it could become even a bigger problem later on down the line. And I agree with that, okay? And that's the reason why the majority of us landlords are fixing things all the time, okay? Because you know what? You let the water leak happen, and next thing you know, you got to repair drywall in the ceiling in the basement. That's the kind of stuff that I talk about. Like, yes, you should be doing the repairs on your properties, and even if the tenant isn't paying rent. In the case here, and a lot of people brought this up, the mobile home where this lady was living was in such bad condition that it seems like the landlord doesn't want to fix it because doing the repairs it's just not economically intelligent. Like the repairs would cost more than the place is worth, even if you did the repairs. So yeah, maybe they want to put a new mobile home in that same spot. Whatever the issue is, right? The landlord doesn't want to do it. And this lady, she should probably move on if she has anywhere else to go, because yeah, it just sounds like an unlivable situation to me. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really, really good comments in here, and I think like go down to watch my original video and read through the comments, and just see what you think of this whole story.